Welcome to the Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health podcast. I'm Ira, medical astrologist, astroherbalist, and green witch. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 19, and I was told I would never have children. I healed my body through the power of herbs, alternative health practitioners, energy healing, and more. At 28, I had the baby they said I would never have, without any interventions. I refused to believe that my body was not able to heal itself. Along this journey, I stumbled across medical astrology, and it resonated with me so much. I started down the path to learning this unique system that had been used for thousands of years in the medical community. I now help other women heal their bodies using their cosmic blueprint, the unique blueprint that every person has embedded in their DNA from the stars. This system helps me see what's going on in your body on a cosmic level and exactly how to help you give your body what it needs to heal itself. We are all uniquely and amazingly designed, and when we learn to work with our design, love ourselves for how we are designed to function, and integrate the cosmos into our lives, I truly believe that we can see true and lasting health brought into our lives. If you are ready to change your life, heal your body, and learn to deeply love who you are, this podcast is for you. Come join me as I discuss medical astrology, AstroNutrition, astroherbalism, health, wellness, spirituality, transformation, and so much more. I'm so excited you are joining me. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I'm Ira, your host, and today we are going to continue our new series about Medical Astrology 101 and the planets. So we're going to start with the most obvious one, which is the sun. So let's dive right in. So today it's all about the sun, which is the first and, dare I say, really the most important planet in medical astrology. The sun governs so many things in our bodies, and our bodies function so much better when we are getting adequate sunlight. So let's talk all about the sun. We all know about it, and we know how much we need it to sustain life on Earth, right? Like, we just know that's like a fact. But did you ever think about how you need it to sustain your life as well, right? The sun is the center of our solar system, and we all circle around it. Some planets go quicker than others, but all of us ultimately circle around the sun, right? The sun is a reflection of source, the universe, the creator, whatever you believe, right? And it nourishes and provides for all of life on our planet and maybe the others. We just may not have discovered that they have life yet, right? The sun represents our life force, our vitality, our life battery, if you will. It's the central force of our universe, and it's the source of pure energy that seems unending, right? All of life is sustained by the sun. It regulates the growth of plants, migration patterns, animal habits, such as hibernating, and the cycle of the seasons. In many indigenous cultures, it is the center of the medicine wheel. This is because it governs the four elements, the four directions, and the four winds. On the New Mexico flag, my home state, we see the Zia. The Zia is the representation of this very thing by the Zia Nation. The sun is in the middle with the four elements, winds, and directions heading out from it, and the flag is bright yellow. So it is like the perfect representation of all of that. So let's talk about the element that's associated with the sun. This seems obvious, right? But I'm going to say it anyways. The sun corresponds to the fire element. And this seems like common sense, right? Because, I mean, fire is hot and drying and produces heat. It also represents the active or the masculine energy. So does the sun. The sun is energetically a warming and drying influence on the body. And we will see this shown in the plants that are governed by the sun when we get to that part. The glyph for the sun on the natal chart is very easy to identify, and it makes sense when one sees it. It is a circle with a dot in the middle. So basically, it's sun-shaped. Easy peasy. As far as what the sun rules the sign of Leo. Leo governs the summer season, if you recall from our previous series, right? From June 21st to July 21st. This is the time in the northern hemisphere that the sun is at its peak and it's most active in our lives. Leo governs the fifth house. If you remember, this house is one of our creative self-expression and our connection to love and joy. It also rules the heart, just as Leo does. And as the sun is our life force, our life battery, it makes sense that it also governs our heart, which is, if you think about it, the life battery of our body. If that quits beating, well, we quit existing in this realm. The sun also rules and governs the circulatory system, the thymus gland, the eyes. There's actually a herb called eyebright that looks very much like a sun shape in the way the flowers bloom, and it's really good for the eyes, and it's because it contains a lot of vitamin A inside of it. Vitamin A is necessary for eyesight. See how that all like corresponds together? Isn't the universe amazing how it does that? So it rules the circulatory system in the thymus gland as well. The thymus gland helps regulate our immune system, and it sets like our level of vitality, right? Our thymus gland is responsible for setting how fast we get over things or how slow we get over things. Vitality is more, though, than just not getting sick or getting sick and then being able to fight it off easily. Vitality is more about how you feel in your body. So more like your overall or general like sense of vitality, right? And studies have shown that people that believe that they don't get sick as often, believe that their bodies can fight it off, believe that if they get sick, they're going to get well quick, actually have a higher rate of not getting sick or fighting things off quicker and easier than those who believe that they're going to always get sick, they're going to stay sick forever, their bodies can't do that, right? So there's a correlation there as well with how we feel and how we perceive that and how we express that and how our brains then create that reality. So the sun is associated with our core vitality, like our chi reserves if you go in traditional Chinese medicine. These reserves are like our peak immunity, right? So it's our ability to start losing our vitality, right? When we get sick, our vitality starts dropping. Yet we have enough in reserve to then give us the boost that we need to get through whatever this is going on, right? And then get back to health. So if your stress response system is like constantly activated, this increases the epinephrine and cortisol in your blood. It causes adrenal fatigue and it leads to lower immunity and core vitality because you're constantly using that vitality levels, right? So the more our Mars-ruled adrenal glands are activated, the less core vitality and immunity that we have overall. So when your vital force is at its highest, you have a good reserve. This is when you feel energized, engaged, and vital in your body, as well as clear in your mind. The sun also in the chakra systems sits in our solar plexus area, which is kind of like around in here, between like the breast and the belly button. It's our core Agni, right? Per the Ayurvedic tradition, Agni is like our vital force, our body's chi, our life battery, right? When Agni is low, we see the same thing happening as above. Our core Agni is also known as Manipura, which is the alchemical furnace that's in our solar plexus. And this governs our digestive system. It also distributes the vitality throughout our body. It distributes blood, nutrients, oxygen, and removes waste products from all of our systems. When this is functioning at its best, right, our Agni is high, we see the vital force circulating through our subtle energy channels with ease, and there's an overall sense of strength, vitality, and energy. Okay. So this is why the sun is so important in our lives. It also rules the day of the week we call Sunday in English, which makes sense. Sun, day, get it? So what symbols do we see with the sun, right? We see the sun symbolizing several different things. We'd see it symbolizing a king, like the ruler of a land that directs all of its armies and inhabitants in their daily lives, right? Just like the sun governs our vital force in our daily life and directs our vital force where to go. We also see it symbolizing the hero. In particular, we think of Hercules. He's the main hero connected with this because of his 12 fears, right? He was a hero that had 12 fears, and these correspond with the 12 signs of the zodiac, which the sun, again, governs overall, just like a king. We also see associated with the sun, we see Apollo, Helios, Shemesh, Icarus, Phaeton, Ra, all symbolizing the sun, right? These are as many different cultures, pretty much every culture has some sort of a god or a deity of some sort or a symbol that corresponds to the sun. As far as animals go, the eagle in the Native American traditions represents the power of the Great Spirit, right? The ability to live between the unseen spirit realm and the physical realm, which when our vitality is at an all-time high, we are more connected to divine and the source. We could also live between the unseen spirit realm and the physical realm in this world. Dive into the nutrition now. So as far as AstroNutrition goes, the sun governs vitamins A and D and the minerals magnesium and iodine. Vitamin A, as I mentioned earlier, is imperative for eyesight, it's imperative for fertility and good cardiovascular and circulatory health. Vitamin A keeps our arteries flexible and slippery on the inside, which is great because when vitamin A is low, we see buildup on the inside of the arteries, and eventually this can lead to blockages and heart attacks. Vitamin A is crucial to our everyday lives. Optimal daily intake is 5,000 to 10,000 international units. You can find it in food sources, liver, and eggs, egg yolks in particular, especially. Those are the two main food sources that we see it in. Butter also has a good thing, especially if it's like grass-fed butter. So getting good quantities of those food in our life is important as well. Butter is not bad for you, y'all. It's actually really good for you, and you need it in your life. Next one is vitamin D. Vitamin D is imperative for a healthy and robust immune system. When our levels of vitamin D drop below optimal, we see an increase in illness and a decrease in our overall vitality. It's necessary for good bones, good muscles, and when we see low vitamin D levels, we see muscle pain as well as easily broken bones happening for people. Our bodies convert cholesterol that we intake in our diets into vitamin D. The liver does this when we spend time in the sun. So without proper amounts of vitamin A, our liver struggles to work properly, and then we struggle to convert cholesterol into vitamin D when we spend time in the sun. So see how these all kind of work together, and for low in one, it starts affecting other areas of our body too. Without proper amounts of daily sunlight in our lives, these levels can become dangerously low, and our cholesterol levels can then become dangerously high. So optimal blood levels of vitamin D. So if you get a blood test, the optimal levels you want are between 70 to 100. And if you are not spending adequate time in the sun, you should take around 2,000 to 5,000 units daily. I prefer drops because they go under the tongue. This ensures proper absorption. As far as where to get vitamin D in our food, cod liver oil is a fantastic place to get that. That also contains vitamin A in high levels as well. So you get both of those together in that. So that's a great place to get it. They do fortify milks and cereals and stuff and dairy products with vitamin D. Unfortunately, it's not always a source that everybody's body can uptake in an optimal manner. So it's best to get it from a more natural source like cod liver oil or going outside in the sun, for sure. And if you have trouble being out in the sun, a lot of times that can be because we've spent years covering ourselves up, using sunscreen, blocking our body's ability to do its natural thing out in the sun. So slowly increasing your time out in the sun, starting with 5 minutes and working your way up is the best way to do that. And if you have questions on that, reach out. Iodine is next. Iodine is also necessary for muscle health. It's also good and necessary for thyroid gland health and proper functioning of that thyroid gland, healthy skin, and bones also. It is used to make proper amounts of thyroid hormone. Low thyroid hormone levels lead to low metabolism, low oxygen usage, and poor cellular activity overall. Iodine is critical to intake daily. This is something that we use almost all of our stores daily, so it's not something we really store and hang on to, so we need to make sure that we are taking it daily, and our food is the best way. So countries that eat high levels of seafood and foods such as kelp and seaweed usually get enough daily and don't need to supplement. And countries that don't eat those in high quantities, supplementation is usually necessary, or making sure that you are changing your eating habits so that you eat a diet high in iodine is then imperative. Iodine is found in sea salt, mushrooms, seaweeds, kelps, asparagus, garlic, butter beans, and Swiss chard. Optimal daily intake levels are 100 to 225 micrograms daily. Magnesium is the next mineral ruled by the sun, and it is another critical mineral in our bodies. It is used in over 300 processes in the body. 2 of those are adrenal gland support or hormone production. When one is stressed, guess what happens? You burn through magnesium very quickly to help produce epinephrine and cortisol. So high levels of stress consistently can lead to adrenal fatigue, HPA axis dysfunction, as well as in turn then wacky hormones. As a person with ovaries, right? If you are a person with ovaries listening to this, high stress levels can then impact the proper production of progesterone, which can lead to heavy periods, painful cramping, fertility issues, increases in miscarriage, and acne-prone skin. Those who are neurodiverse, so you have ADHD, autism, somewhere on that spectrum, are commonly very low in magnesium naturally. They just, for whatever reason, their bodies tend to not hold on to it as well and burn through it quicker in some cases. So they tend to be naturally very low in magnesium. So if you have one of these conditions, you will maybe notice that since magnesium is needed for proper regulation of the nervous system, you will tend toward more neurological issues. You feel frazzled and stressed more often. You have brain fog and you constantly feel overwhelmed, and so does your nervous system. It is imperative to get proper amounts of magnesium daily for everyone, but even more so for anyone who is neurodiverse. So the optimal intake level is 750 to 1,000 milligrams daily of magnesium glycinate, taken at night before bed, usually, because it is very calming to the system and can help you sleep better as well. Usually about an hour before bed is best. You can take it again in the morning as well if you feel like you need it, so you can split it into 2 doses or just take 1 large dose at night. The best thing about magnesium glycinate is that it does not cause diarrhea like the other forms. Or you can take a blend of all 7 forms of magnesium, which is also an option. There's a few companies that make those as well. So positive correspondences when we have enough sun in our life, right? When one has the sun positively expressed in their life, because we get enough optimal sun in our life, it's not afflicted in our chart, it's not too low, we see someone who's full of vitality, self-confidence, they're great leaders, they have strong willpower, and they feel able to really express themselves out into the world without shame, guilt, or fear of judgment. And all of that occurs without it being egocentric. They're not egotistical maniacs, right? They are just confident and calm in their belief about who they are. Now, in the opposite way, right, when the sun is negatively expressed in one's life, or very low in this case, right, we don't have enough sun in our life or in our chart, or it's being afflicted in some way, we see someone who can be very overpowering, domineering, bossy, self-centered, an egotistical maniac. These are the people who believe the world revolves around them and they misuse power. We can also see someone on the opposite side of the spectrum, though, when it's negatively expressed, who is really shy. They lack confidence. They're fearful of their own power and strength, and they have chronic avoidant tendencies. They will do anything to avoid doing things that do not sound fun or easy for them, right? They're constantly avoiding things that they should be doing. Depression is also a common symptom of a lack of sun in one's life. There also becomes like a disconnect with the divine and our own spiritual source when we don't have enough sun in our life, and this can really leave one in a tailspin of like what ifs and like why are we here, an existential crisis, right, basically. So learning to get more sun in our life physically, right, by going outside, and then metaphysically by connecting back to our divine and our own spiritual source and our own spiritual beliefs, and having that spiritual practice that connects us to something outside of ourselves can really help change that, integrate the sun into your life better, and change things for a more positive influence. Let's talk then about the herbal correspondences. So these are the herbal actions that cause us to reach for one herb over another when we are choosing which herbs to put into a blend, right? In the case of the sun, the most common herbal actions we see connected to the sun-ruled plants are as follows. It will have a pungent taste. Think like ginger, garlic, rosemary, right? These are all very pungent. When you think of them, you can immediately, when I say those words, a taste comes to your mind, doesn't it? You just can feel it. You're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So it's that very strong, pungent taste that you can taste in the air if you get close enough to like a pot of it going, right? And also is very warming and dispersive. of the vital force, right? Pushing it out to where it needs to go. It radiates upward and outward, just like the sun does. It's a circulatory stimulant or a cardiotonic or an adaptogen, or it's immunomodulating, or it can be several of those in one, right? Typically, energetically, it's hot and drying, though we can see an antipathetic action, right? So the opposite, so of what the sun is, so an antipathetic. So the other ones are sympathetic, and these are antipathetic action then of cooling and moistening, which will help balance like out an excess of sun. So as far as herbs go that are governed by the sun, I already mentioned a few, but let's dive into those a little more. So obviously rosemary, as I mentioned, this herb is absolutely amazing in helping to alleviate headaches. It opens the blood vessels in the lungs. It stimulates the cardiovascular system. I use it for so many different things. It's used as a driver in blends to help drive the other herbs to the places they need to go more efficiently. And I use it for that very often in my blends as well, for that same reason. Bless me. All right, the next one is St. John's wort. This herb is actually one of the most studied herbs and has been shown many times over to work very well for many cases of depression for many people. This is a sun-governed herb because if you've seen the flowers and how the plant grows, it grows in areas that are bright and sunny. It tends to be well-drained soil, and the flowers are just such a pretty, like, array of how they look. Again, it looks like a sunburst kind of, right? When this herb is picked fresh and put into a tea or oil, it turns them a bright red color, which is also a color that's associated with the sun. So this is where we get some of those correspondences from. It is useful for many different ailments in the body as well, but its best known use is for depression. That's how people tend to reach for it the most. It's actually really good at helping your body heal sprains, cuts, and things like that as well when you put it into like an oil form. This is a great herb. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. But word of caution here, this herb should only be taken under the supervision of a qualified herbalist. Do not attempt to take this on your own. It has many different interactions with many different medications, and it is best to take it under the supervision of someone who understands how this herb works and which medications it has a higher chance of interacting with, and is trained and qualified as a herbalist. Next one is ginger, which I already mentioned. This is an amazing herb for helping with stomach issues. It increases that digestive fire, and it also helps with nausea, especially nausea associated with pregnancy. It is really good at alleviating pregnancy-induced nausea and vomiting. And it really helps stimulate the digestion and move things along. What happens in pregnancy a lot of times is we get a lot of stagnation because we have a growing fetus inside of your body and it's pushing on things and it's creating stagnant areas in your chi, in your vital force, in your energy levels, in your blood vessels, and it blocks things from moving as they should. Ginger helps speed up that digestive system process and move things through the system. So a lot of times nausea happens many times during pregnancy because not only the change in hormones, but also the fact that things in your stomach just tend to sit there a lot more than they usually do because it's a lot harder for things to move through a system that's being crushed by a growing fetus inside of your body. So this is why it works pretty well for pregnancy as well. A few more to look into as well that you can do your own looking into is hawthorn, berry, and leaf on that one, ashwagandha, and Schizandra. Schizandra is a very good female herb as well for like women's health issues. It's kind of has this adaptogenic property to it, which helps with so much of like the stress, and then also helps like the body regulate the hormones. So if you're having a lot of stress in your life and your hormones are a little crazy, it seems, because your periods are wacky, weird, off, heavy, painful, things like that, that might be one to look into, trying as well. So ways to balance then, right, the influence of the sun in your chart. So for the sun in particular, I commonly find that there's really usually a sun deficit in the chart and not an excess. We typically are working to build the sun in someone's life instead of take it away. So in that case, the best way to increase the sun in your life is to get more sun in your life. So go outside and spend time outside in the sun. and learning to appreciate the sun and get it on your skin, get those vitamin Ds. Now, I know we're in the northern hemisphere, so winter can interfere with this for many people. I understand that for sure, because I've lived in a very cold, blustery winter area of the northern hemisphere for most of my life until the last few years, where I have decided that I'm done with the cold, wintry, blustery, snowy areas of the northern hemisphere for winter, and I have gone to the southwestern area of the United States where it's a desert and it does not have any of those. Where I can get more sun in my life, because I am a full sun plant, y'all. Without enough sun, I wither and start shriveling up and dying. And I am not a happy person when I don't have enough sun, and nobody wants to be around me, including me, but I'm stuck with me. So definitely go outside, get more sun. If for some rare reason you do have an excess of sun in your chart, increasing the moon's or Venus's influence would be great here, because they're cooling and moistening. The moon is actually the balancing force of the sun, right? They're opposites. So increasing those moon and Venus governed herbs and qualities on a daily basis would be really good. So basically using herbs, right, that have a cooling and moistening quality to them. Overall, though, the sun is a necessary influence for so many reasons in our life. Our vital force is highly dependent on the amount of sun we get daily, as well as the sun-ruled vitamins and minerals that we have in our lives, also in sufficient quantities. So have you noticed like a lack or maybe an excess of sun in your life? So let's think, after listening to this episode, how can you go about fixing that today? If you need any tips or tricks for increasing or decreasing the sun in your life, my book, Your Sun Sign and Your Health, is a great jumping off point for balancing the sun per your sun sign. You can download it today at the link in the show notes. And if you have any other questions, reach out to me at info@atlasastrology.com, and let's see what we can do to help. Okay? Until next time, love and light. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed making it. You can find all relevant links to today's show in the show notes below. If you loved the show today, please subscribe, follow, and leave me a review. I love to hear your thoughts, and it helps me know what is a hit and to make more of that content, especially for you. If you want to learn more about me and how I can help you, head over to atlasastrology.com. There you can sign up for a medical astrology package, download my free Sun Sign and Your Health ebook, read the blog, and so much more. If you want to connect more outside the podcast, follow my Instagram channel @AtlaAstrology, or join my Astro Connection community, the link to which you can find in the show notes. Until next time, love and light.